Happy day, happy Saturday, wherever you are in the world. Great day. You are with your girl, Anita Cornett, your success strategist, well-being guide, facilitator, to include your self-expansion guide. And so that's one thing that I've added on this past year, and we're moving into, as you know, the date of this recording is getting closer to 2025. So I just wanted to come in and say hello, and to let you know that I do want to make changes when it comes to community. So I kind of wanted to get some ideas from you all as far as what your social media goals are for the upcoming year and beyond. And not necessarily, I say social media, but it's not necessarily focus solely on social media. It's more of, your social currency, what are the platforms to where you're communicating, you're building a community, you're building an audience, you're sharing your content. So, more of a content platform, where you're focusing on content that serves individuals, that has a purpose, and that is evergreen, that you can actually use without it being trendy. And it is pretty much something that is purposeful, meaningful, all year round, all season. So just curious as far as what does that look like for you all? What platforms have you found interest in, or that you're looking into to build your audience, to build your community, to where you have the networking, where you have the social connections. And this is not solely just for entrepreneurs, but this is again for thought leaders in all industries that actually want to make a difference within their communities. This is not just local. This is virtual. This is beyond the local environment. For me, when I started off on social media, I actually used it I use it as a platform to keep in contact with my family because of my military lifestyle and deployments, training exercises, all that. So I wanted to make sure that in this, the lifestyle that I've been in, because it'll be 30 years next year in August, and that'll be my retirement the 1st of September 2025. But I say that I use social media solely for connections with friends that I've met over the years through the military, connections that I've met with friends that I met as before joining the military. When my father, when he was stationed at certain places, there were certain people that I grew close with, and two of them, their names are Jody, first name Jody and Eileen. And I grew close with them, I think it was it wasn't elementary, or was it elementary or middle school? I can't remember. But there was a connection that I had with them. And then when social media came about, I wanted to make sure that I was able to get in contact with them because, life is too short, and just so that I can have that connection to see how they're doing. And so I did that. And so really social media for me was more of a connection when it comes to friendships, when it comes to family, when it comes to sharing ideas, learning new things. But there was something that I had in common with people, which was the military, family, interest, things of that nature. So that's what I used it for. For social media, right? And so things started to shift once I started seeing things in a different way, once I started exploring entrepreneurship, and I built my coaching practice in 2017. And so I started looking at it in a different way when it comes to the business owner. So how is it that the business owner, what's the best way for the business owner to build a community, build connections, but also, but also share what you're doing of interest that gives an impact for others, right? And so I was seeing it in a different way. And so I was learning different things. So I joined a lot of Facebook groups. That's what it's called, groups, but I like to say communities. Based on my background, and Will knows what I'm talking about when it comes to military, when it comes to community, there's a connection, there's a commonality that you all have. And it may not be all the same. Hey, it may not be all the same, but you learn to embrace diversity because it's needed, it's required, especially if you want to be successful and you're thinking outside of your own perspective and you're seeing things in a different way. So I joined a lot of Facebook groups, which some of them were just groups. They weren't communities. And then I've also created communities of my own. But again, the distractions that people have where there's more, Meta, we all know it's Meta now, but again, it's still, we know it as Facebook, but there's still communities that are still being built today. The thing is, the mindset of everyone is not the same when you're creating these communities. Some people, when it comes to business-minded individuals, I'll give you an example. If they're into digital marketing, you're not going to see a lot of communities. Like I said, you're not a lot. My experience, you'll see some, but you're not going to see all of them. A lot of them are very spammy. So what I mean spammy is they're not trying to build the connections. They're not trying to go by the guidelines. It makes no sense where the moderator or the admin has to remove people, or even in the messenger chats, people are selling when it already the guidelines is already telling you what you can and cannot do. So if you're in a community and you already know the values of that organization, if you know the do's and don'ts, and you want to be part of that community, why would you not follow the instructions? I don't get it. And so I'm constantly seeing this over and over again. And this doesn't happen overnight. This has been going on for years in several groups. That's what I'm saying. It's like when I first joined Facebook, known as Meta now, it was different. And so then when you get into business minded, you're doing things as an entrepreneur. There's another way of seeing things. You still want to have those connections with friends, family, colleagues. But now you have to look at, okay, how can I have social currency when it comes to selling goods and services, building a community that know, like, and trust what I can provide, right? But when you actually get into a rabbit hole, you start going into all these communities thinking that you'll find your ideal client, which your ideal client's there, but there's so much noise in there. You're constantly getting all these posts that like spammy stuff. Then you go into something where you lose your focus on what truly matters. And so I actually got into those type rabbit holes. So I got into those rabbit holes, and it's like, okay, like, if y'all are commenting, if I can't see it, I will respond later, but I'm actually using my iPhone versus desktop. I should try my desktop next time. I think I'm gonna do that. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is for business owners. When we're on social media platforms, all the platforms are not created equal, as we already know. They're not created equal. Long form versus short form is going to be different on all the platforms. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's your purpose and your goals of what you want to do. And so me, I've always been a connector. I've always wanted to connect with individuals that are not just like-minded, but have different perspectives, but we are focused on a goal, and that's serving our people in a certain way. And personal development is what I do, but I'm also getting into the business development side to include AI consulting. And so I'm going to learn a lot more about that and how I can serve others in that sense. But going back to the perspective when it comes to social media. So some people get frustrated to where they don't get on social media at all because of the noise. There's so much noise in the internet. People like to use the term internet streets. Okay, so it's not trademarked. I didn't trademark it, but I'm pretty sure somebody said they did, whatever. But being careful and mindful in the internet streets. So there's, like I said, there's so many platforms. So yes, we're on this one, but there's so many other ones that we're competing against. And so as a business owner, as a one-person business, as a freelancer, there's other platforms outside the social media platforms to where they build communities like similar, like Go High Level, Thinkific, Those are just a few learning platforms, but they built in community. So there's several places where you can go to where they build in community, but it's still not the same like these platforms, right? Because again, it's focused on connection and being social. So I would say Meta and Instagram are more like that, but I would say more Facebook is like that. Instagram, I don't know what's going on with Instagram. I like Instagram, but it's just, it's becoming too much. So I'm doing a lot of testing over there, but getting back to my point when it comes to, I'm just curious if you get a chance to listen back to this, cause I don't know if you're on here or not still, but like, what is your, like, for 2025 and beyond, like, are there like specific platforms that you're focusing on? Because for me, I do plan on still staying in Meta and Instagram. Meta primarily for family and friends and colleagues, because that's pretty much why I started using this platform. I use this business page is what I use focusing on business endeavors that I'm doing with my coaching practice, or if there's anything that I'm doing with my stationery, with printables, journals, things of that nature, I share here. There's a reason why. A lot of business coaches like to say, years ago, they would say, oh, okay. And I was just curious to see which one, what platform are you actually going to be using for 2025? And so a lot of business coaches in the past, they would say, oh, well, you need to be public, everywhere. Which I get that, because if you're not, then your profiles are not going to be seen. But again, you have to know exactly what you're posting on your accounts or whatever. So you have to optimize it. So when you're optimizing it, that's another thing, where are you going to optimize it at, and where are your people? That's one of the main things that I was taught years ago, and it still stays with me. That's one of the primary things to realize when you're on these rented lands on social media, because it's not ours. So I was just curious to ask that, as far as like where you all want to see where you see yourselves in 2025 as far as social media. So going back to the spammy. So I ended up joining like over 100 Facebook groups, and I'm not joking with you. I've tried deleting all of them, the ones that don't align with me anymore, and it just got too much. It was overwhelming, where it was just, I couldn't do it. Okay, got you, Will. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, I don't use them a lot. Okay, got you. LinkedIn is another one that I'm like on almost all the normal, when I say normal, the ones that everybody know about, that everyone knows about, like just like what Will mentioned. LinkedIn, I'm on there. I started, I normally respond to people when they have things that happen. If they get hired somewhere or whatever, then I'll go on there and I'll say, hey, Jessica, I'll go in there and say, hey, I'll go in there and say something to them, congratulate them, this and that and the other. Or when there's like any type of positions for educators, instructional design, then I'll look at that from LinkedIn. But as far as my engagement, I don't really get on there like that yet, because like I said, I'm not trying to stretch myself thin. I know there's integrations to where you can post one thing and then post it on another one. I just didn't want to do it for LinkedIn. So when I got in, so going back to what I was talking about for the Facebook groups, again, I like to look at my community as a community versus a group, but I deleted so many Facebook groups that didn't align, and I still have Facebook groups that I still have and I have not deleted. So, I had to remove myself from a lot of those places, because again, the capacity, you only have capacity for so much. So you cannot be in all these communities, when every community has a different purpose, and a lot of them are spammy. So it's like, if you're in digital marketing, what in digital marketing are you going to be focusing on? Because you don't want to be in the digital marketing space where they're focusing on master resale rights or private label rights, content. You can't, nothing's wrong with that, but I'm saying, like, if you are going to be in those communities, just know that it's going to be people selling to you over and over again. That's all you're going to get. And so if you truly want to get something out of it, especially for private label rights or master resale rights, like, What program are you interested in learning about? What program do you believe that you can actually learn from and resell, and focus on that one instead of focusing on one that's all jammed in together, because it's just spam. And I'm only speaking for myself because I've seen it time and time again. And it's like, I'm for a place where I just want purpose. I just want some, I can't be all over the place because I get distracted easily. And so that's why I'm telling you, the Facebook groups that I had to delete some, and I still have a lot. So my question really was, just to see, what you all plan on doing. Jessica, are you still going to be on Facebook and Instagram, or are you going to be focused on YouTube? And the reason why I asked this question is because I'm just curious as far as what you all want to do, because I'm actually in the process of, eliminating a lot of things. And I've done a few things already. And it's not just because it's 2025, but it's because some things just aren't working anymore for me. So I just have to let it go. And so, I'm letting it go, but I'm actually looking at new platforms. And so this goes beyond social media, but the main thing is a social currency. Like, how am I going to communicate with like-minded individuals, still have that communication, but then also building a like, know, and trust with my products and services or whatever, and making sure that I'm aligned with the platform and that I'm not getting distracted. And so that's why I just wanted to have a chat as far as, what you all plan to do, because Meta, like I said, I'll use it for like how I use it now, but this is the platform, the business page is where I'll start focusing more. I'll continue to do what I was doing because, like I said, a lot of business coaches would say, hey sis, Latoya, a lot of business coaches would say, oh, you need to, if you're talking about business, it needs to be on your personal page. And I'm like, no. First of all, depending on what your industry is, if you're in the military, you're not going to be talking about, I don't do anything that's OPSEC anyway on my personal page. Y'all know that. But I'm not going to be, it didn't align with me. I was like, no, this is my personal page. I'm going to keep it like it is, because a lot of people that follow me and that I follow, family and all that, is military lifestyle. That's who it is. And then I started adding business individuals on there, and it's like, why did I even do that? So then I have the business page where it's separate. I don't put that on my personal page unless it's something that I want to really share and say, hey, I'm going to be going live on my business page and whatnot. This is what I'm going to do. I just have to come up with a strategy on how I want to do that, but I'm not mixing the two. Now, you all know that you can use your professional page to create a professional profile. I don't want to do that, again, because I want to keep it separate. But if you have done it, please let me know how that is, because, again, I'm looking to see as far as, how that will work when it comes to community, things of that nature. So I just wanted to just ask, what do y'all plan on doing when it comes to social media? Now, going into elimination, I still have Facebook groups. I haven't deleted yet. I had to stop because it became overwhelming and I started getting stressed out because it was just too much. And I just stopped, going to those groups. Those groups are they're still on my, list of groups. It just became overwhelming. And so I'm just sharing that with you all because that's pretty much what happened to me is, social media is continuing to change. And of course, everyone knows about TokTik, about it may change. I noticed how I changed the name. There may be a possibility of it actually closing down as far as for the U.S., but there'll still be another social media platform. So, even though that one goes away, it'll be another one. So, I really don't care if it does or not. But a lot of people are concerned about it, when it comes to the business owners. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, this is it's like real estate. It's like rented real estate that we don't even have. And so I pretty much want to do something that's meaningful and means something to me, and not just being on all these platforms. So that's why I wanted to ask the question as far as like, what do you all plan on doing when it comes to social media for the new year? I know a lot of people, I see a trend now. When I say a trend, it's what I'm seeing, a pattern. A lot of people are going to YouTube. So I don't know I know Jessica's on YouTube and she's actually building her community there on YouTube. And for those that are not familiar with YouTube, they're actually building more features to where you can build community on YouTube. You can still do long form and short term or short form. But it's pretty much what you want to do. So, I mean, it really depends on what your purpose is when it comes to how you want to communicate with your audience, depending on what your capacity is, what your role is in business, what your role is in leadership. And then you can actually go from there. But yeah, I'm actually seeing the trend. A lot of leaders that they're on Meta still, but a lot of them are shifting to YouTube. And so I'm just curious, what will you all be doing for 2025 and beyond? Like I said, for me, I will continue to be on Meta and Instagram. But I will actually look at other platforms that align and that aren't distracting when it comes to community building, because I want to build courses. I'm still doing my digital products, but I'm working on refining my digital products. If y'all have a comment on here, I can't even see it. I can't see it. So, that's what I plan on doing. There are a few other things that I'm looking at when it comes to email marketing. I did have MailerLite. I do not like the platform as far as the layout when it comes to creating sales pages and all that. Like I said, I'm eliminating a lot of stuff and changing things so that it's easier for me. I'm actually looking for all-in-one platform. And so I probably may do a review and just let y'all know how I feel about it. So, because I did a lot of research and there are a few that I'm interested in, but again, it goes back because I have Beacons. It is a link in bio type platform. So if you're actually on Instagram or even on Facebook, you can actually put a link, and you could put a link in, like the link will actually direct them somewhere, so you can actually do that. And it's not pricey. You can actually upgrade. The next level is $10. After that is $30, which is the Creator Pro. And then after the Creator Pro is the Business. And I can't remember the name of that one. That one is maybe $30, $40 more than the Pro. But again, the Pro is $30. So if you're using Beacons, you can use Beacons as in several different ways. You can create a website with Beacons. You can also have your digital products. Digital products are more than just printables. You can actually have videos to where, you're doing master classes, tutorials, things of that nature, guides, all those type of things you could actually have as links in your Beacon store. So it's a storefront. You actually have the links there. And then if you do the $10 one, it'll have more features. So the features for the $10 is the email setup. So you could actually have an email marketing plan, but it gets robust at the $30. So you get more for the $30 one. The $30 one, you could actually build courses for the $30 one. So like I said, I'm actually doing research to see exactly what I want to actually get into as far as changing up some of the things I was using. I'm using Thinkific right now, and I'm actually going to change Thinkific. I'm going to communicate with my students to let them know ahead of time. They'll still have access to it, but I think I'm going to downgrade and go to another platform. Like I said, I'll share any changes that I do just so for your knowledge as far as what you all want to do. But I'm just at a point where I just want to make it more easier for myself, because the transition from active duty to retire, going back to private sector, this next chapter is another focus that I'm doing, and it makes it hard when I'm focused on too many things. And so I want to make it easier for myself, but at the same time, not having all these systems that aren't even talking to each other. And so it kind of like, it ruins the streamlining. You're not even streamlining anything where you got this system over here, but you can't integrate it. You got this system over here, but it's not talking to this one. And so you're like all over the place. So if you're all over the place, just imagine how it is when you're communicating with your audience, when you're communicating with your community and giving them information, where you're giving them information over here, then they got to go over here and see you, that, you know, I'm just trying to streamline it. So, that is something that, you know, I'm looking at doing. Like I said, just let me know exactly what you all plan on doing. That is my, like I said, it goes beyond the 2025. I wanted to do this because I know that I've been doing a lot of pivots when it comes to, business. And one of them, it's so dark in here. One of them is, just making smart decisions when it comes to investing. And one of the things that I was talking about, the digital marketing, making sure that you're investing in something that's aligned with that you actually want to do with your goals, instead of being all over the place, because what you'll find yourself, you'll be investing in all these things and it's not taking you anywhere. So, I'm only going to share my experiences as far as, you know, what I've seen, going forward, you know, what I'm going to eliminate. And I already talked to you about the Facebook groups, the email marketing, the link in bio, the Beacons, looking into more of doing an upgrade there. And then, just knowing that I can't be on every platform. So I'm actually really, truly thinking about, like, what is it, the one that I really, really want to give my energy to? Because like I mentioned before, for your capacity, you have 100% and you can't give 100% to everything. So really it's a matter of deciding what is going to be best for you when it comes to your goals and things of that nature. And then what's aligned, because if it's not aligned, you're going to feel like it's forced. And I like to use the analogy of you actually eating food and you like stuffing, you're just eating and you're just, next thing you know, you're just stuffing your mouth with all this food and you can't even properly chew it, swallow it. It's just, that's pretty much how you're going to feel if you're just constantly just doing all these things and it's being forced. It is not properly aligned with what it is that you're doing. And so definitely be in the alignment when it comes to that, because that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing. I've done a lot of that this year. That's one of the reasons why you probably haven't seen me. You probably haven't seen me a lot on here, because I had to take a break from what all the coaches were saying. When I say all the coaches, the ones that I was following, I invested in, saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I just got to the point, I was like, no, this is just not, this is not working. Okay. And so, yeah, so I wanted to just come in here and do a chat. Like I said, I do my impromptus because never know exactly what time I'm going to come on here for now until I actually have a streamlined schedule. So if you want to share, let me know. I do appreciate you all saying hello, dropping in to say hi, things of that nature. But yeah, this is where I'll be for now, but I'm actually going to be looking at other platforms. And like I said, if you want me to do a review on certain things, or, want me to share my perspective on some of them, then that's definitely what I want to do. I just don't believe I'm just at a point where I'm tired of these trending or trends of, oh, this, you got this platform over here, you got this one over here. I'm very curious about things, and I will test things out just because, and I will do that. And I do that for a reason, is because I don't want someone telling me one thing and then I go there and then it's completely different. And you still have to put a lot of work in if you actually want it to be a primary platform that you want to be on. So, like I said, I will let y'all know how what I do for moving forward. But this is one of the platforms I'll be on for now. But I'm actually looking into building a community for similar to Thinkific, but not Thinkific. Nothing bad about Thinkific. I just feel like the features are just not, it's not aligned with me right now. So I just want to look somewhere else when it comes to products. But they do have the feature, depending on what you want. Thinkific is a e-learning platform, so you can actually build your courses there. The thing is, though, the first tier is not that many courses. You only have one community and I believe 5 courses. The key is you only have one community, though. So they're constantly, like, they have it to where now they have an email marketing system. But to me, I feel like you really have to get the higher tier to get the benefits of all of that. Because at one point, I had my students, but I couldn't contact them in the platform. So it's like, what's the purpose of having a platform if you can't contact them in the platform? You built the course, you have stuff in the course, but the reality is there's certain courses people aren't going to finish. They're not going to finish the course. So it's like you have to look at, okay, what kind of surveys can I give my students to say, okay, if you're not finishing the course, what is missing? What do you want to see? What do I need to add? Those type things you have to think about, especially if you're doing course creation and if you want it to be meaningful for your students. But at one point, it's like you got the students' information, but there's no way in the platform where you can email them. So again, they're constantly building stuff on the platform, but it's like, I don't want to be spending hundreds of dollars a month. And, then I have to work on the marketing to actually bring students in. And if I don't have enough students to, the fulfillment so that I can continue, then it's just overhead expenses that, that's all it is overhead expenses. You're spending money and not seeing an ROI back. So that's one of the reasons why it's like I had to take a pause. I wanted to make changes to the course, but I had to pause that because of what I'm doing with my workload at the Sergeant's Major Academy. So yeah, so there's a lot of things that, come to play when you want to do course creation, things of that nature, but I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to take a pause and actually look and see what are some other communities that I would prefer or other platforms. And so I have a list of things that I researched last night and that I'm going to actually go into to dig in deeper to see, okay, what can I actually use that's going to benefit me? Like I said, once I remove Thinkific, the course, like downgrade, the students will still have access to the course. Once I actually decide on another platform, then I'll let them know so they can have access to it on that platform. But it's just a lot of streamlining is pretty much what's important when it comes to really finding the meaning and the purpose of what you're doing, because you definitely don't want to be scattered all over the place. And I'm just to the point where I'm about tired of that. I need something that's all in one, or if I can get majority of it all in one, then I'm satisfied with that. But I'm not going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars if I don't see the ROI. All right, so I'm done. So if I don't see your comments, if you do have a comment, I will definitely respond later on. But again, I just wanted to ask the question, as we move into the new year and beyond, what are some social media platforms that you're looking into as far as continuing to, show up in, be resourceful, actually share with your audience, building a community, those type things is what I was curious to see what you're actually going to be doing. Like I said, I'll be here on Meta and Instagram as well, but I'm also going to be looking at other platforms too. All right, so love you. Have a blessed weekend, and I'll chat with you soon.